Yo, Tim Desert Storm Bradley, you already know the rest. Yo, let me take care of some of my English fans out there, man. They want to break down on Benjamin Gavazi, the German, the 19-1. Yeah, 19-1. He lost his first professional fight and has racked up about 19 wins now. He's going to be facing the always entertaining, it's going to be Ben Whitaker, who was 9-0, but he has one draw. Yeah, it's gonna be a good fight, man. I've been seeing some other channels and stuff reporting on it, like saying like, who the hell is this guy? Who is Gavazi? Like, who the hell is Gavazi? You know what I'm saying? I was able to find one clip on him in a fight that he just recently had against a guy that was 10-0 that had 9 KOs, and he ended up stopping the guy. That says a lot. Like, with a guy that has punching power, he was able to take his best shot and actually knock him out. First, let's start with Ben Whitaker, man. What's my thoughts on Ben Whitaker? You know, I don't really talk too much about a lot of English fighters out there, but, you know, let me talk about Ben Whitaker. You saw the big signing that he had in the epic video that was circulating with him and Eddie Hearns. Show me the money. If you haven't seen it, yo, you got to check it out. You know, he signed with Eddie Hearns. Anyhow, what do I think of Ben Whitaker? You know, I'm going to get straight to it. You know, I'm cutthroat. You know, I think he's fool's gold. I actually think that Shiraz will beat him. You know, I know he's 9-0. He's on the up and up. You know, and of course, you know, he's talented. You know, they're trying to move him quickly because he's 20. I believe he's 28 years old. It's not old. You know, he's right in the midst of his prime, but you know, they're trying to move him quickly. You can tell. You know, he's facing a guy that has 19 fights, double the amount of fights that he has. A guy that's gritty, you know, coming off that draw when he had many people thought that he quit. You know, he was able to avenge that and get a vicious knockout, a right hand knockout. However, the reason why I think that he's fool's gold, to be honest with you, like, he reminds me of a New York street baller, man. You know, and I say this, you know, with all due respect. It's more so like he has all these moves. He's extremely confident, but he's never going to make it to the big leagues. You know, he's lacking certain fundamentals. He might be lacking strength. It could be punching power. You know, it could be, it could be IQ. Got every skill in the book, right? But, you know, putting those skills to use at the right time, keeping his concentration throughout the fight, stamina as well. Like, you know, he's very, I would say, limited in those areas. I look at his style and I'm saying, okay, he's a cutesy sum up type of fighter. And what I mean by that is that there's a lot of flash, but there's not a lot of pizzazz. There's a lot of flash, but not a lot of pizzazz. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm trying to say. It's not like, you know, it's something that's like glaring, like, oh my God, this guy is like, you know, the best thing since ice cream, you know, like, no, decent punching power, got a good right hand, got a nice counter right hand, or a pull counter or a slip counter right hand. He brings his jab back lazy. You know, he likes to use the up jab a lot. Footwork is okay. Does have a little control game where, you know, he'll use his lead hand to try to control his opponent and, you know, and try to attempt to turn the corner, meaning either pivoting or stepping around his opponent, you know, and pushing him off balance, you know, gaining an edge that way against his opposition. But, you know, good left hook to the body, good left hook to the head, you know, throws, you know, decent combinations, you know, nothing crazy, nothing glaring. I mean, I saw his finish against Liam Camaro. I saw his finish and it wasn't that impressive to me. I mean, it looked very sloppy and it was just, you know, it wasn't precise, I should say. And, you know, I mean, the guy only has 9 fights, you know, and he's going to get better and better. But, you know, with that being said, I think this fight's going to be a lot tougher than what people think it's going to be. You know, you just can't sit back and look at names and just because we ain't heard of them and just say, oh, this guy's a cab driver, this and that. Now, you can't. Like, you got to look at what these guys have done, you know. Look what they film. See where, they can win, see where their strengths are, see where their weaknesses are. And, Gavazi, I see his footwork. He has some footwork issues. He tends to stand straight up as well, tends to pull his head up. When you look at his stance, he leans forward a bit. So he's susceptible to getting hit with the jab. I already know Ben. Ben loves the jab. Has a decent jab, but he just brings it down low. He can be countered with right hands. So this guy is one of those guys that kind of plays possum. Gavazi, he'll play possum. Like, you can get him in bad positions. I see he's weak to the body, very weak to the body, and the reason why I know that is because the last guy he was facing was going to his body, and you can see him tucking those elbows in real tightly, and you can tell he didn't really like them body shots. I think Ben's going to see that. I think he's going to attack his body for damn sure, and he's going to cover up in that high guard. He might split it, and he might very well maybe knock him out, maybe stop him early, catch him while he cold, and don't allow him to get in the fight. But if he doesn't do that, things can get real interesting, man, because if Ben begins to clown around and run out of ideas and can't really knock this guy out, man, and this is what I mean by having, a skill set, but not a definitive skill set, something that, you always know, hey, this is what I'm going to get from Ben. I know that, Ben knows how to take care of himself in these particular areas. I ain't got to worry about him panicking when he's getting pressured. He knows what he needs to do. I don't need to worry about Ben when he, when he needs the box, when a guy's coming forward. I don't need to worry about him not getting careless and, clowning around and getting taken advantage of. And this is where I think that these are areas where a guy like Gavazi can take advantage of Ben. A lot of the playing around and clowning around and stuff like that. Gavazi's one of those guys that looks for any type of opportunity, when you're relaxed or when you think that you got him to rev it up, to turn it up. This guy has a good right hand, throws really good combinations, can punch in between shots as well. It's not textbook. It's all raw. It's not textbook stuff, but it's all raw. But he has these capabilities, that are disguised behind his sloppiness, in his fights that could give a guy like Ben some issues. If Ben is not on his P's and Q's, if Ben can't knock this guy out early, I see down late in the fight, it could get a bit difficult for Ben. I do. This guy, I think in the department of knowing who he is, knowing what he brings, fighting the way he fight with his style, and having all these abilities to be able to even, slip counters. Dude got slip counters. Dude can bob. Dude can catch and shoot. Dude got these little small little nuances in his game. And again, it's not textbook, but it's effective or can be effective, especially if you have someone in there that's completely unaware of what this guy can do. So, look, Ben, you can sit back, you can read your press clippings, man. You got a flamboyant type of personality. That's great. You got a team behind you that believe in you, but man, this is the hurt business. And if you ain't ready for this guy right here and you just, reading your press clippings and thinking that this going to be a walk in the park, man, you might just get surprised, man. Gavazi's coming to fight and he's coming to win. He is. And so that's what I think about the fight, guys. Let me know in the comment section what you think. But anyways, I personally think that Ben is fool's gold. I don't see him beating nobody at 175 pounds. Nobody in the top 10. Don't see it. Not right now. Maybe he can develop and get better, but we're going to see. Anyway, that's my time, and I'm out.